Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Commissioner's Report for 2016. Today's show is so big we had to take it outside. We're here at the North Central landfill. My guest today is the new County Commission Chairman, District 5, John Hall. Commissioner Hall, nice meeting you, sir.
Yes, it's
Next,
good to be here.
Thank you. Next to John is the Division Director for the Waste and Recycling Division, Anna Wood. Anna, thank you for joining us today. Today we're here to discuss the new western expansion. It's a new 320 plus acre expansion to the landfill that's going to provide greater capacity and savings to the ratepayer here in Polk County. But before we get into the expansion, I'm going to ask Anna to tell us a little bit about the landfill. Give us a little history to date. I understand that I think it started in 1974 on about 367 acres. Where are we at today?
You are correct. The landfill started in the 70s. It was the vision of the Borough County Commissioners actually to place this landfill so centrally located. Back in the 70s, the parkway wasn't here, so access was still kind of not the easiest to get in. But now with the parkway, we have easy access to every part of the north, the east of the county. When we started, it was approximately 284 acres, and today we have over 2,200 acres is the total land mass that is under the Borough County Commissioners. 22
acres, that's a pretty sizable facility. And she mentioned that it's near the Polk Parkway. It's actually located on the north side of Winter Lake Road, that's State Road 540, and the Polk Parkway. Now, I believe we're just south of Auburndale, more or less. I think the facility here abuts the city limits. Now, in our background here, that is cell number 3, is that correct? And that's nearing capacity, which results in the need for expansion. Can you tell us what's happening with the capacity there that requires the expansion here?
One of the requirements on the Florida statute is that the counties, the Borough County Commissioners, are responsible for providing disposal capacity to its residents. We need to look ahead to make sure that we are paying the right price for future development. So phase 3, the one that you're referring to, will be near capacity by 2017, February 2017, at which time we anticipate moving operations into the new facility, the new cell 5, and that will have an estimated life of 5 years.
Right, and I understand there's going to be a little reserve capacity maintained for that cell, just in the event of something like we had in 2004 with multiple hurricane seasons, so we still have a little capacity left there.
When plants do not have the flexibility of additional airspace, the burden comes to the commissioners, and then the price of managing solid waste can escalate substantially. So you are correct. We will not be reaching capacity, full capacity in phase 3. We will allow for any emergencies or any other needs the county may have, and also to ensure that we are following Florida statutes.
Right. And Commissioner Hall, I understand that we're expanding on this area as a cost savings measure versus the extra expense of constructing more landfill space over there. It's actually cheaper for the haulers, the people that are bringing in the refuse, the Class 1 waste, which is disposed of here. And so we're getting capacity, new capacity, and we're also gaining capacity as we go higher with increased height of the cells, the new cell that's being constructed here.
One of the things is that we have just approved a height differential between the 130 where we were capped and 160. 160 feet. So we've got an additional 30 feet in height that we can go. That's going to add capacity to the entire landfill as we start to build it out. The other thing is we decided after Anna had brought the program to us and given us the background on cost, instead of going in numerical order from 3 to 4 to 5, it was less expensive on our citizens at this point in time, and to make sure that we did not have to increase our tipping fees.
So the residents of Polk County are going to save 2 ways. One, they're going to get a cheaper capital investment, and they're also going to save at the tipping fees. I understand that with this phased expansion here on the western side, we're actually going to get volume between the old cell and this new cell, as well as the additional volume with the height. So in that respect, you're going to get additional volume to serve a growing Polk County, and you're probably going to extend the life of the usable acreage here.
We don't have to continue to build more landfills because the expense has already been incurred. The base is already done. So that one decision allows us to go higher, which we can put more tonnage in there. The equivalent of close to 11 months of life.
And if I can just tag on to that, we increased the revenue stream without increasing the tipping fees. And that's what our citizens need to know. We have staff here that are looking for innovative ways to increase our income so that we can maintain these facilities for the future without increasing the per ton cost coming to us.
Right, and I understand part of that dual savings that I was mentioning before is the cycle time for the trucks coming in here, and that's the commercial haulers as well as the residential. You know, somebody like me's got a pickup and he's throwing household waste or tree trimmings or whatever, and I'm bringing here. It's a quicker in and out, so that's going to save money for people. And also, I understand that there's a savings in the capital investment because it's cheaper to make the expansion here. And I understand that's on the order of $300,000 an acre.
Roughly $300,000 an acre as an estimate, and that saves approximately $200,000 an acre over the expansion of Phase 4. By coming to Phase 5, we're saving that amount.
And certainly that allows us to keep our tipping fees lower.
Sure, but it's even more than just the person bringing their refuse in by pickup. It is our garbage haulers, and we're just now starting to bid that new contract, so they should be able to take this into consideration. They'll be in and out quicker, and the cycle time is much quicker based on opening a Phase 5 instead of Phase 4. So there'll be more than one hauler in the next contract. Don't know exactly how many as of yet, but there'll be more than one. So I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, and this will be a lead into our next show with Commissioner Lindsey. He's going to talk about the new curbside recycling program and I think the new bid with the haulers. So let's talk, Ann, about some of the work that's happening here. We have this model. I understand this layer here is essentially what we see here, kind of like the substrata, and then there's like a geotextile layer, then I guess kind of like a capping layer. So can you kind of tell us what's happening here with this system? Sure.
Typically, the landfill is designed and constructed to meet federal and local regulations. What you're looking here behind us is actually the preparation of the subbase. The subbase has to be suitable to accept the potential weight of the entire waste stream once the facility is completed. After the subbase is done and constructed, then the synthetic liners go on top of that. And the reason for the synthetic liners is to ensure that the percolation of water does not go into our water table.
So you don't want any seepage from the cell into the water table.
Correct. So as the layers, it's like a sandwich, like as the layers are being built, then the top layer is 2 feet of sand on top of the liner. And the reason for that drainage layer is to ensure the integrity of the synthetic liners. We want to make sure that nothing punctures the liner, because if this is undermined by puncturing or any other element, then we have the potential to introduce the risk factor that the liner will be leaking.
Right. You don't want contamination, essentially.
Well, not so much contamination, but we want to ensure that the integrity of our facility is maintained throughout not only the construction phase, but also the operational phase. So on top of the sand blanket, which is 2 feet of that sand, we will start putting residential waste. We need to have at least 12 feet of residential waste, and the reason we use residential waste versus commercial waste is that typically residential waste does not contain large objects that can penetrate to the 2 feet of sand blanket and get to the liner system.
Okay, so the waste will actually go on top of the sand liner.
Correct.
And now in this membrane liner here, we're actually moving two different substances, right? We're moving leachate, and we're also moving methane gas. Is that correct?
Well, it is. To a degree, the main function of that layer is to promote the movement of liquids. Garbage is typically 30 to 40% wet when it comes to the landfill. On top of that, we have rain that goes into the landfill. So the layer, that sandwich layer at the bottom, what it does is promotes what you call leachate, which is a byproduct of clear, good water like rainwater. When it touches garbage, it becomes leachate, and we need to manage that differently than we manage stormwater.
Now, the leachate, is that tied to the degradability of the waste that's being brought in here as well?
Well, it is tied because waste tends to decompose quicker if it's wet.
With the introduction of water.
With the introduction of water, correct.
Right. So we got a little science lesson here today. A lot of people probably don't realize everything that goes on. You know, they don't understand what it takes to build and maintain a landfill and the expense. So certainly the expense is a big deal to the citizens, the ratepayer, and it's necessary for us to construct these facilities in a manner that saves money, extends the life, and provides a good return on the taxpayer, and maybe lowers tipping fees in the process.
And also another critical component that is in the forefront for the county commissioners is to ensure that everything we do here at the landfill is also environmentally friendly and is in compliance with all the requirements. It is a good thing that we are producing airspace that is called, low cost, but also at the same time we're not compromising the safety and the environment in the equation. So we believe in a philosophy that, like you say, is a win-win. It's a win for the environment, it's a win for our customers because they are spending less money in disposal, and it's a win for the county commissioners because they have enforced a policy that actually benefits all Polk Countyans.
I'm not sure I could have said that any better. Glad that she's here.
Absolutely. The other thing that, and I want to put in a plug for Anna and her staff here, is that we offer landfill tours. I mean, if you have a group of people that are interested in knowing about the landfill and what we're doing to promote the environment, to promote lower taxes, to promote the longevity and be able to expand our citizen base, because we're going to grow and it's necessary that we manage this resource to the level that we are. And Anna and her staff will offer tours of what, 1,700 people or so last year?
Yes, one of our main objectives is actually to become a destination in Polk County and contribute to our customer, to the tax base of the county and to the businesses. And this is actually a perfect location for weddings.
So you're talking landfill tourism?
Landfill tourism, that is correct. We are the highest point, one of the highest points in the county. You can literally have a panoramic view of the entire county. Perhaps for the 4th of July, you can come to the top of the hill and really see fireworks from all as far as Disney to here. I think we can become a reality show where people literally can come and
Commissioner Hall, what are we going to charge for this? Do you know yet?
We haven't discussed that at this point.
We're kind of building our own ridge here.
I'm telling you, it is an attraction. It is it's a beautiful facility, aesthetically pleasing. We want to make sure that our facility it represents all of us well. Not only the county commissioner, but every citizen in Polk County is represented well.
And believe it or not, like she says, there is a fantastic view from up here. So take advantage of one of these tours that they offer.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Today, 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic. Many of the future doctors who will care for us, the scientists and entrepreneurs of our country, can be your kids. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education.
We've moved indoors to the material recycling facility here at the Polk County North Central Landfill Joining us now is District 1 Commissioner George Lindsey. Mr. Lindsey, welcome. Thank you. And of course, you remember Anna. She's the Division Director for the Waste and Recycling Division. Like I said, we're here at the Material Recovery Facility. They call it the MRF. You might see that mountain of recyclables behind us. And we're going to talk about the past, present, and future of recycling here in Polk County. So let's start with you, Anna. Give us a little background and history of recycling in Polk County.
In Polk County, prior to 1998, the county had like 14, 16 dropout centers throughout the county. And we had employees that went and pick up the roll-off containers in the igloos, the famous igloos in Polk County. In 1999, the Borough County Commissioners did a pilot program, and we started curbside recycling in 30% of the population. That grew to 100% of the population in 2005, and currently we offer recycling collection services to residents to approximately 90% of the unincorporated area residential units.
So what's the current status of the recycling program here in Polk County?
The current status is we have participation of approximately 35% of our population participates in our curbside recycling program, and we are anticipating that through policy changes that the commissioners are making, we will increase that number in the future.
And of course, the issue now, of course, is with respect to the recycling, is the contamination that's occurring now. Can you speak to the issue of contamination in the single stream process that we employ here in Polk County?
Our single stream program is actually a limited program, and by that would mean we collect items that are not typically the only items that are collected in the stream recycling program. We have a contamination rate of approximately 12% currently. And again, Commissioner Lindsey is going to cover more into the changes that we anticipate to want to reduce the amount of contamination and also to harvest the right products for the recycling program.
And this relates to a memorandum from the State Department of Environmental Protection with regard to single stream contamination. And I understand that we're actually faring much better than the municipalities in most areas throughout the state with regard to the rate of contamination in our recyclables.
That is correct. The commissioners had the vision in 2012 not to fully embrace 100% the single stream recycling program. And what that means is that you pretty much put almost every product into your recycling bin. The commissioners stayed with the 14-gallon containers, and that actually minimized the amount of materials that were going inside the container.
Okay. Commissioner Lindsey, as we're moving forward and we're instituting new policies with regard to our collection of recyclables, can you tell me what the position is of the Board of County Commissioners and what you're proposing moving forward?
We have two elements that are kind of converging simultaneously. One, new regulations at the state and federal level with Department of Environmental Protection as to what should and should not be recycled. So that's in a state of flux. Combine that with the fact that we're going through our rebidding process with our waste hauler and revisiting that. We'll be going through that process now. We'll be awarding it later in the spring and actually make an implementation in October of 2017. So the timing is perfect to begin this process. During this process, we've learned that the enthusiasm for recycling in Polk County is good. We all want to do the right thing, but we don't always know what the right thing is. The enthusiasm to recycle almost anything and everything has resulted in effectively contaminating the recyclables. Recyclables achieve two things. One is to keep stuff out of the landfill, and two, to harvest the value that it might have, whatever that commodity is, metals or plastics, and reduce our overall cost, and at the same time produce a reusable product. What's happened is that we have effectively contaminated the recyclables to the point that it has no market value, it's not recyclable, and much of it winds up right back in the landfill again. So we got to fine-tune the process, and that's going to be an education process through the customers and across the county, municipal and county residents in the unincorporated area, which is our primary focus. But by doing so in this learning process, I thought I was doing the right thing, recycling my egg cartons and putting them in the bin. And I learned, no, that's not a good thing, because in the grinding process, it just turns to dust and has no value, and that's not a good thing. But with merchants like Publix and Winn-Dixie and others, they have the facilities and the stream to recycle only this. It's already separated, so that they have a market for this. The same thing with the plastic bags. I thought I was doing the right thing by recycling those. Only if I take them back to the store where they can bundle, millions of these things. It's already separated and segregated, and there's a market for it. But when these things are put in the regular recycling stream, it effectively contaminates and devalues the process.
So the success and the sustainability of our program is actually finding value in the recyclables. So the things that we can sell, the things, and of course limiting the contamination to build efficiency in the process as well. So it's kind of a twofold thing. One, you want to lessen the contamination because obviously it takes time and effort, manpower, machinery, these things to sort the things that have value from the things that don't. So I guess the success of the program is to make sure that the people that are using the recycling containers are putting those things that are appropriate and of value. So in that return, it supports the program and provides the ratepayer potential savings.
And it keeps it out of the landfill,
right,
which was the original intent, to reduce the impact on the landfills. So we're going from the yellow tubs to the roll-off cartons that'll more automatically loaded, and with an education process as to Anna's got the material here that we're targeting that has the greatest value, has the least contamination, and stays out of the landfill. So the aluminum cans, the tin cans, plastic milk jugs, those certain kinds of classes of plastics, of course the paper and cardboard, those kind of things, that's the gold standard. That's the stuff we want.
So ideally, this is what we're looking for from the ratepayer, the people that use the bin or the people that will be using the roll cart.
Right.
And you say that the new curbside recycling program is going to be initiated sometime in October, is that correct?
October 17. We're going through the bid process now, writing the specifications. We'll have vendors submit proposals. We will sift through those. The board's already made the decision or directed staff, rather than having one collector for the entire unincorporated area of the county, we could have as many as 4 or 5. So we're still going through that process. Once the bid is awarded, they will have a year to gear up, get the materials, get the equipment, get the manpower, the staffing, and then be in position October 1, 2017 to start picking up refuge and recyclables in the new era.
And I guess once these new haulers are in place, it's I guess part of your job to kind of measure their performance and their success with regard to how it's impacting our recycling program.
That is correct. That is one of our key functions of my staff and myself, is to ensure that the requirements that are outlined in the agreement are met, and that the right products, the right materials are being harvested, and they bring the right materials to the county facility.
So, Commissioner, what happens if there's kind of a disparity in the performance among the contracted haulers?
Well, I think there'll be competition among themselves. They will be graded. Competition always breeds good results. And I'm looking forward to that. I think it will be a positive for our customers.
And what are some of the impacts that our customers can expect with the new program?
Well, it's going to be an education process and a learning process for all of us. As I said on the outset, the enthusiasm to recycle almost anything and everything, we got to tone that back a little bit. And there'll be some stumbles along the way, but eventually we'll get it right and we'll do fine.
the idea that we have to help the customers, the ratepayers, distinguish what's recyclable, what has value, and what is real garbage.
Yes.
And that way we kind of limit the rejection rate or the contamination amount that's in that single stream of recyclable material, and find value in what they're actually putting in these containers, so that in that value they can find value in the rates that they pay for the service.
And also, if one thing, the way we in the industry looked at recycling or harvesting the right materials, recycling should save resources. You save in either energy, you save in the raw material for being mined. When we follow a different recipe and we start collecting everything, including material that's supposed to go to the landfill, then it starts using resources. So that is the difference. Recycling should not use resources. Recycling should save resources. So if people keep that in mind, I believe that is going to help us.
And that's the trick about sustainability, of course, is the efficiency that you find in lessening the contamination in the recyclable stream, and the fact that we're not endangering the environment by trying to find these resources out in the environment, because we're actually capturing them in this stream and being able to reuse them. So there again, that's that win-win that we discussed before.
Yes, it is. And like I said, these materials that can be harvested offer the greater potential for saving energy or increasing the value of the products when they are sold to end users to create new products. So you are correct. It's a win-win for the county, it's a win-win for the resident, and they can contribute to the overall wellness of the county.
I like the idea of harvesting. Kind of makes it sound like farmers. But the great thing, of course, is that Polk County is already kind of ahead of the curve, because one, we don't have the amount of contamination that's being found elsewhere, and some of the things that the DEP has suggested, we're already enacting.
Yes, and again, that is, we have a county manager and the commissioners, they have become very involved in the process. Acknowledge his power in this industry. So by not embracing what everybody was doing and kind of being kind of unique in the process and saying, no, let's take our time and do this right, Polk Countyans will benefit, because we don't have to go in such a severe diet of not picking up materials. Our job is now basically just refocusing and saying these are the materials that we will continue to collect.
So one of the next steps, like you mentioned, is educating the public, which likely means we'll probably have another show discussing this topic sometime down the road.
There will be some mailers and online information, but going from the bins to the carts will increase participation. Folks just find it difficult to haul these things to the curb, and it's not the best system, but it was a good first step. If it's windy or rainy, that stuff sometimes gets blown around, but by having the containers and the carts will increase participation. We encourage the right materials. The future looks good.
And I hate to beat a dead horse, but the idea that we have high participation rates, and our contamination rates are lower than other places are experiencing. Hopefully that's going to make our job a little easier. And hopefully through more education, we can keep those contamination rates down. We can keep the materials, the valuable materials, that we're harvesting from the recycling stream, higher, and in that respect, provide value for the customer and sustainability for our environment.
Exactly. Recycling is not a free process, and the more we can sell our product, and you mentioned something very important, the value of the product depends on the level of contamination and the value it brings in the system as a whole. So by that, the commissioners will be actually seeing higher revenues, proceeds coming from the sale of the material, which again is going to help all Polk Countyans that participate in the program.
Well, trash talk of another sort here on the Commissioner's Report. Thank you for joining us. Commissioner Lindsey, thanks so much for joining us. Anna, and thank you as well.